In the final chapter of The Road to Serfdom, Friedrich Hayek addresses a misunderstanding that has followed the entire debate about freedom and planning. Critics of liberalism often claim that defenders of markets and individual liberty believe in a crude doctrine of selfish individualism. The idea that society is nothing more than isolated individuals pursuing their own interests. Hayek argues that this is not what the classical defenders of liberty believed at all. In fact, the confusion between what he calls true and false individualism has distorted the entire discussion. Hayek begins by describing what he calls false individualism. This view imagines the individual as a completely autonomous, rational actor, someone capable of designing society according to reason, someone who believes that social order can be deliberately constructed. Ironically, Hayek argues that this way of thinking often leads not to freedom, but to central planning, because if society can be rationally designed, then someone must design it. Someone must possess the knowledge necessary to organize the whole. This assumption that society can be engineered lies behind many forms of collectivism. It assumes that enough information can be gathered to plan social outcomes from above. Against this, Hayek contrasts true individualism. True individualism begins with humility about knowledge. No single mind can understand the full complexity of society. Knowledge is dispersed among millions of individuals. Each person holds fragments of information about local conditions, opportunities, skills, resources, and preferences. Because knowledge is dispersed, social order cannot be centrally designed. Instead, order emerges from the interaction of many individuals pursuing their own plans, within a shared framework of rules. This insight leads to one of Hayek's most important ideas. Social order can arise spontaneously, without being deliberately planned. Languages evolve, customs developed. Markets coordinate economic activity. Legal traditions grow gradually through precedent. None of these systems were designed by a single mind. Yet they create highly complex forms of organization. Individuals do not exist outside society. They exist within traditions and institutions that no one fully designed, but which coordinate human activity across generations. And here Hayek returns to the deeper philosophical point behind the entire book. The defense of freedom is not based on the idea that individuals are perfectly rational. It is based on the recognition that no one is. No planner, no committee, no government. Knowledge in society is always partial, scattered, and constantly changing. Freedom is valuable not because it guarantees perfect outcomes. Freedom is valuable because it allows society to adapt to what no single mind can know. Throughout The Road to Serfdom, Hayek's warning is not that planning always produces tyranny overnight. The danger is more gradual. As governments attempt to manage increasingly complex systems, they require increasingly concentrated authority. And concentrated authority rarely remains limited, not necessarily because leaders are uniquely malicious, but because the system itself begins to demand greater control. Hayek's conclusion is therefore not utopian. He does not promise a perfectly rational society. Instead, he defends something far more fragile. A social order where power is divided, decisions are decentralized, and individuals remain free to pursue different paths. Such a system may appear messy, but its messiness reflects something deeper, the complexity of human society itself. The central question of The Road to Serfdom is therefore not merely economic, it is civilizational. How much control should any authority have over the lives of millions? Hayek's answer is cautious. No single mind can possess the knowledge required to design a society. And systems that assume such knowledge tend to drift toward control. Freedom survives not when power disappears, but when power remains limited, divided, inchallengeable. That's it for this series, and if you are interested in reading another book and have any, because we're going to go to a couple more books now, new ones, if you have any suggestions, feel free to make note of it below, and I'll see you in the next episode.